Hello, this is a video to explain the reporting functionality of the new events / non-client specific activities module in Empowerdb. You should make sure you've watched the other video I made explaining what this module is and how to set it up. For the reports, we're going to start off going to the reports section. And then we're going to look in activities data for events report, and obviously if you've chosen a different name than events, you would see that name here instead of this. And for the rest of this demo, I'm going to continue using the word events. And now the type of event that you want to report off of. So we can here are the different types that we set up through the admin control panel before. So let's select college outreach, and we can also select some of our event types, but not all. So notice that things like admin work, DB training, legal training, they're grayed out. We cannot select them. That is because those event types have completely different structures than the first event type that we selected. So since they have completely different structures, the database won't be able to combine those two sets of data into one report. But since community outreach and high school outreach both are set to have the same structure as college outreach, we can include that, and we can include that. So the event dates, obviously you can change those dates to look at whatever events you want. We'll stick with the defaults. We can say, show me only the events entered by a certain user or multiple users. And we can say, show me only events that meet certain conditions. So of these events that we selected, they have in their structures, they have variables called location, topic covered, first time presenting, and we can go in here and select this and say, show me only the events that had those topics covered, or show me only the events where it was somebody's first time presenting. So we're going to keep that blank for now. That's it, run report. The screen that you'll see will begin with a data table, and this will have one column for every single variable that you set up for that event structure. So it's going to start with the three that every event structure has is staff and the date and the type. And then each one going on like that is going to be the variables that you set up. You'll scroll over and you can see them all. Down at the bottom, there will be two rows, one for totals, and that adds up all the numerical values up here. So obviously any kind of text cell, it's not going to be able to add that up. And averages. So depending on what you're trying to get at and what type of column this is, the totals or the averages will be more helpful to you. Notice though that for the totals, total attendance, we have 34 unduplicated and 52 total. So 52 is what you get if you add up this and this and this, but 34 unduplicated attendees. Now how does the database figure that out? This is how. First it starts with the very first event and says, okay, how many people were there in the very first event? 12. Then it goes to the second event and say, okay, now in the second event, how many people were new? 18. So 12 plus 18 is 30. And then in the third event, how many people were new? 4. So 30, and then another 4 is 34. So that's the unduplicated count for number of attendees. It's one of the benefits of using those special total attendees and new attendees variable types when you're setting up these structures. So again, it takes the first total attendance and then every successive new attendees to come up with the unduplicated count. So that's the data table. And then any variable that's a select one, a select multiple, or a yes, no will show up here in this aggregate data list. So we can take a look at the locations, and there's one in Newton, that's 33% of them. And this table should look very similar to what you're used to seeing for the variable query report. Topics covered. 3 of the events had self-care, 1 social justice and legal solutions. Notice how these percentages do not add up to 100%. That's because this is a select multiple variable. So it's possible that more than one thing is selected in each event. So thus you won't add up to 100%. And then the yes, no variables are going to be like that. So that's really all what this report's going to show. And I think you're going to get a lot of information just by looking at these totals and the averages. There's certain things that perhaps you'll want to do some more fine refinement on. So like, let's say you wanted to know of the events that lasted an hour or more, how many of them were Newton. For that, you might want to export to spreadsheet, and that's going to download the file. We'll open it up. Bring it up to this window. And we'll see the first screen is data table, and that's going to be all the data that you had on that other screen, data table. And you can take these columns and you can sort them to get any other questions that you possibly weren't able to find out from just the data table over there. You'll be able to find out by sorting through Excel here. And then there's these sheets for all the aggregate data variables that you could get. So perhaps you want to turn this into a pie chart or something. It's up to you. Now, if you find yourself continuously having a certain type of question that you're asking the report, that you're having to do like really complicated sorting with, please let me know, and I can potentially build into the database a way to make that possible through this report, especially if I notice that a lot of you are doing the same types of queries. If you have a really, really unique query, you might want to contract me to build out a special report that kind of can analyze your specific data and get you the numbers that you need. But I really feel like just this data table and all this aggregate data, that's going to answer the vast majority of questions that you're all going to have about your events data. All right, that should be it. Thanks, everyone.